Joe Bellini from Warriors of Wrestling was involved. I mean, there's so many companies. Gimmick Tree. I mean, we could be here all day naming.
Yeah, exactly.
Naming. I mean, it was over. How many tables you think about?
Had to be over 200.
Yeah, I would say over 200. I think it was 100 just in the middle alone.
Yeah, probably.
You know, and then at the gigantic stage where they were doing the interviews and stuff, and
it was set up well.
Yeah, it was, and very spacious. I was very, you know, I saw videos of it from the year before. I was a little nervous, you know, how much traffic there was. There was even tables outside, the people selling stuff,
like interviews and stuff they're doing.
So I was impressed, and I think other event people should take note on that and see, like, hey, this person's bringing a guy that's did this well here. Maybe when he goes to our convention and he brings them in, we use those little rope barricades and do one at a time.
Right.
So there's not like the overwhelm, because with Bischoff.
Yeah.
It was very overwhelming. I mean, my people give me credit cards. I couldn't freaking swipe fast enough, and I felt like if I didn't hurry up, someone was going to leave, and you know, nobody wants to leave money on the table. So it was a little. It got a little chaotic. I mean, we bought food and we didn't eat it for almost 2 hours because it was just got
That's
crazy.
unlike you.
Yeah. And nothing like eating a cheeseburger 2 hours later. Yummy. But yeah, I mean, it got crazy, but in a good way. For some of us.
Some.
A little bit down the road, about, you know, maybe an eighth of a mile down the old carpet, MZ Promotions had a little quad of tables, and they had a little chaos, but in a negative way. And I'm gonna let you segue you into the.
All right. Well, first off,
the Heidenreich story.
First off, we had 6 or 7 guests that weekend, and all the guests that we've used, we have done stuff in the past with. So everybody we're familiar with, we've worked with them before.
Well, name it. We got Ken Shamrock.
Ken Shamrock. We had Barry Hardy, Gilbert. We had Doink, who actually, I'm sorry, this was the first time we used him.
Doink.
Right.
But you've used Doink.
We used Doink in the past. Different Doinks. There were several Doinks, etc. We had Dink, we had Rene Dupree, and we had John Heidenreich. So, like I said, every one of them, except for the Doink that we used that weekend, we had done stuff in the past. So everyone's familiar how we work, my partners work, etc. I won't go into details what people got paid, etc. And I know it's going to be a little confusing when we get down the line when we talk about the Heidenreich issue. But Saturday, the convention started, Friday?
Friday.
Yeah, Friday. We went, had a good time. Everybody was making money, it seemed. The show was packed. That night, Heidenreich had to do an interview. He went out and did the interview. I was not present at the interview. My partner...
paid to do the interview.
He was paid to do the interview, right.
We'll add that, so... off to a good start for him.
Right, so, like I said, Friday was a good day for all of our guests that came. Again, we won't go into details of how they got paid and all that stuff. So basically, Heidenreich wanted money that night, so we accommodated that. We gave him his money that he needed. The next morning, actually that night, we were getting text messages from Heidenreich, not me personally, my partners, and he was rambling on saying he's getting robbed and he deserves more money, etc. He spoke to this wrestler, that wrestler, and their mothers, their sisters, basically anybody that would talk to him, I guess. And they're saying that how we were conducting business was wrong. I don't understand how we were conducting business wrong. Each one of my tables had one person assigned to the tables. We both had 2 envelopes at the table. We also had a person handling the cash in, credit cards, sales, etc., writing down all sales that happened. So if Heidenreich signed an autograph, we wrote it down. Signed an autograph, how much, etc. So at the end of the day, if there was any questions, we could go back and look, Heidenreich, you signed 4 autographs that X amount of dollars, and this is what should be in the bag. So that's what it was. Again, Heidenreich has worked with us in the past. I would say this is probably the 4th or 5th time I used him.
Mm-hmm.
And the other times, I'm not saying we hit home runs with them. We've had some glitches in the past where we didn't make our money, or for instance, the show when Ken from KNS couldn't afford the flight or didn't want to pay the flight, it was too high the week of. The deal that I worked out with Heidenreich was I would pay for his flight, and then I recoup that money first, and then after that we would do X amount of dollars to give to him. Long story short, he didn't cover the flight at all for the whole weekend. So 3 events went by, and the flight that cost X amount of dollars he didn't cover. So here we are, we have to make a decision where we're negative $200 already on him, plus his hotel, which we weren't asking for anything, but he didn't cover his flight, so we were negative $200 on his flight. Me, Vinny, and Cliff, and then we'll leave it as a unknown other talent kicked in $100 each to give to him. So we gave him $400, even though we were negative for the whole weekend, which was graceful on our part. Yeah. I think normally you don't do that.
No,
it's like if I didn't make enough money, I still got to pay him. But the deal was kick into the flight first, and then we worry about the fee or whatever we worked out. So in the past, everything's worked out for him and his benefit. We've done nothing but good things for him. We got him booked on wrestling cards. We got him Warriors of Wrestling he wrestled. We got him signings pretty much everywhere around this area. So we tried to make as much money from him as possible. So again, we'll go back to that Friday night in Orlando when he got that money in his pocket. Again, we're getting text messages all night, etc. We're going to put it behind us. We're not going to say nothing about it. We're just going to go to the next event, which is Saturday morning, the last day of WrestleCon, and we're just going to go from there. We're just going to make it like he's not texting us. I understand he's upset, but until we have to have a conversation where, okay, let's have a conversation, we'll leave it at that. All day Saturday morning, you can see he's pissed. All day. Starting from 9 o'clock in the morning. I didn't say one word to him at all. I didn't handle his table that day. We had somebody else handle him. And he was pretty much sales that day, I want to say from all around, was not good for my group, I would say. There was a lot of text messaging going back and forth from Heidenreich to one of my partners, and again, I was looking at the text messages. I kind of just let it go in one ear, out the other, because I don't want any confrontation. I just wanted to focus on making everybody money, including myself. So I hear John at one point saying, "This is bullshit. People are paying $50 to get into the convention, and now this asshole wants fans to pay $20 for my autograph, $20 for a photo, or $30 for a combo." Now, again, we can't get into details of what he got paid, but
that's a reasonable.
It's a reasonable amount.
A former WWE TV talent, minimum, a male wrestler would get $20. Some would do $35 for the combo. You're doing $30, which is. That's huge. It's a $10 savings. And then most of your TV women talent usually is anywhere from $15 and like $20 to $25. If they're a big name, then they would be $20. Hall of Famers, obviously, Hall of Famers get more money.
Right.
But we're talking about a guy who had a small run. Unfortunately, was probably known more for the Legion of Doom 2.0, which nobody liked because you can't replace Hawk.
Right.
But they, not his fault, WWE's, ideas. But that's kind of what he was known for. Kind of exactly. Like,
And then
not his fault.
He also was in the face paint where he used Legion of Doom, so it's kind of his gimmick. He also did have his shoulder pads that he used with Legion of Doom there for photo ops. So I think that was pretty cool for gimmick wise. Fans. You don't get to see John Heidenreich every day. Okay, so people do need him in encyclopedias, etc. So at that point, he comes over to somebody and he says, "I'm changing the prices." And I want to say one of my partners, I don't know who it was, told me, "You're not changing the prices. These are the prices that we set." And as a promoter, you don't touch the prices. Talent should not have to worry about that.
Well, you also you change the prices, you run into the problem now. Someone that was there Friday comes walking by the table and they see the price change. Hey, how come I paid $20? Now the price is $10. Give me another autograph or give me my money back. And then you run into that problem.
Just big headaches. So basically, he wanted to change the prices down to $5 an autograph, $5 a photo.
Which is ridiculous.
And again, I hate to keep bringing this up, but the agreement that me and John had, or MZ had with John,
nobody's making money in it.
Right, there was no money to be made.
You're charging $5.
Right, no money to be made at $5 a piece. So that got shot down. Next thing I know, I'm sitting down. I'm just minding my business because again, the show was slow in my area. I see him come over, and I'm actually talking to the Doink at that time, and the Doink is telling me that John is texting him, telling him that he fucked him. Like John is texting Doink, who are friends, and Doink is showing me text messages that John sent Doink, saying that John is telling Doink that Doink fucked John Heidenreich over several times. He's a piece of shit, this and that, and
so he's cursing out his own friend.
He's cursing his old friend. Yes. Now, I don't know what happened, what transpired behind you seen that whole thing. Again, I don't want to know no business. It's not my problem. Then he comes over and he rips up a box that I have just of merchandise, and just rips a piece of the box off, takes a marker, and writes, "I will work for gimmicks." Now, I don't know if everybody knows what gimmicks is. It's drugs, pills, etc. He holds a sign up, and how many people are at their show? At least 1,000. At least 1,000.
More than that. And let's just say 2,000 fans or 2,500 fans passed within those 2 days, and I would say 40% of them were kids under the age of 25.
Right.
So they should not be seeing that.
You have kids that range from 5 years old, lower,
strollers,
right. I mean, all the way up to 60, 70 years old, but kids, families,
you don't need to see
wives. First off, that's embarrassing for yourself to hold a sign up to say that. It's embarrassing for other talent that you're sitting with. It's embarrassing for the promotion that you're doing it with, and the convention. So you're just making yourself look like a total asshole. So once I see that, I got pissed. I got up, I went over to him face to face, and I said, "John," I said, "I know that you're saying that I'm robbing you. I see all the text messages last night that we're robbing you, and now you're saying you're working for gimmicks. First off, put that sign down." So he threw the sign on the floor, and he goes, "You are fucking robbing me." I said, "John, how am I robbing you?" And this is exactly how I'm talking to him. Maybe a little bit louder just because it's loud in that place, but we're standing up, and I said, "John, how am I robbing you?" "Oh, you're fucking taking money out of my bag." I said, "John, let's go over to the bag, and let's look in the bag, and let's see how many autographs or photos or combos, whatever you did today, let's see what you did." I got the paper. He signed one autograph. We looked in the bag. There's $20 in there. I said, "John, how am I robbing you? Just explain." I said, "You want to look at Renee's too? Just for the hell of it?" Whatever. Exactly the amount that was written down. "Fuck you," he tells me. And I'm like, "John, do me a favor. If you're not happy here, just pack up your shit and go back to the hotel. No problems with that. This is at 12 o'clock in the afternoon." Okay, so we're there for 4 hours or whatever it is, and he made $20. So he's obviously pissed. I'm not in the best of moods because it's slow.
Right.